Welcome to our third session of Psychology Unit. We have good PDSA work occurring. The concept of move to improve is being applied to learn about your processes. And learning about your processes and systems are not the only learning opportunity that you have. You also have a chance to observe yourself as you attempt to produce improvement in your organization. So what are the assumptions you bring to your work? What comfort zones are you remaining within? Where are you willing to test new perspectives? Look at your question number 3 responses in the 3 basic questions. What moves can we make that will result in improvement? As you learn about the practical aspects of the system of profound knowledge through your PDSA work, the variety and number of moves that you can think of to be tested should be increasing. If it is not, there may be inner work to do. Today, we will see and discuss a short version of Dr. Deming's red bead experiment. And we'll continue to learn about our processes and ourselves through our PDSA work and through inviting people to participate with us. So I wanted to share this. I was just talking with Chris about this. Rocky turned in Teach to Learn notes on Monday that said this: I learned that to enjoy my work, I need a clear understanding of my role and how I and others fit into the organization. And trying to compete, get by, get noticed, pull ahead does not bring joy, but frustration. So I turned that into a post. I called it Lessons in Management from the Ranks, and then added Deming's recommendations for actions managers can take. And as of this morning, slightly before 8 o'clock, it had more than 11,000 views on LinkedIn. And a lot of good comments going on. So a lot of people were appreciating it, loving it, celebrating it. And it's worthwhile to go in and see what people are saying about this and what they're adding to the conversation. It's always a good lesson. I learn things as people comment and see things or perceive things and want to add to what has been said in these postings. So Rocky, I want to thank you for your comment. It certainly resonates with a lot of people. So good work. And Gloria, I want to acknowledge you for doing what it takes to be here this morning. I know that we won't be seeing or hearing you, but you're doing something above and beyond. And so it's much appreciated. And I appreciate your good efforts in being here. I'm going to briefly talk about something. We do not perceive things as they are. Our brain interprets sensory motor inputs, and for a variety of reasons, our perceptions may not match what exists in the world. Many of you have seen this image before. As you look at the squares A and B, let me change my pointer. A and B, they appear to be different shades of gray. Let's take a closer look at the elements of this image. C1 matches up with the shade of A. And C2 matches up with the shade of B. And seen in this relationship, C1 and C2 appear to be different shades, as do A and B. When removed from the surrounding visual inputs on the board, C1 and C2 appear to be the same shade of gray. Even when presented this way, C1 and C2, when moved back to the board, appear to be the same shade of gray as the corresponding squares A and B, both darker and lighter, respectively, to our eyes. Our brain maintains and applies models of the world that include making adjustments in color and shading when we believe we are seeing an object that is in the shadow. Some of the models created by our brains are nearly impossible for us to overcome, even in the face of contradictory evidence. This is a challenge faced by some who encounter Dr. Deming's teachings for the first time after a lifetime of being taught a different way to think. Based upon our conversations yesterday, it is vital that you spend some more time understanding why you cannot separate individual performance from the influences of the system, even though your brain is telling you that you can do it. Here's a question for us. Where do you think the 90-30 rule might come into play here? So Rocky, do you remember what is the 90-30 rule?
It's that 90% of the people believe they're in the top 30%. And I would consider that most people think that the X is really much larger in influence than in what it really is, that we really think that our individual contribution is really 90% of this equation.
Yeah, that's one aspect of it from the performer's point of view. What about from the evaluator's point of view? Tyler.
They might believe they can solve the equation, but there's multiple solutions.
Yeah, there isn't a solution to this equation because it's two variables and we only have one equation. So Eric, what's the 90-30 rule application with this equation?
I'm going to admit I'm lost a little bit on it.
That's all right. So that, again, 90% of the people think they're in the top 30% of the population. One of the issues we run into is that we believe we can solve for X, even though others may not be able to. We think we're in the top 30% of the population that has the capability to make that distinction, and that we're capable enough to separate out system influences when evaluating individual performance. And this ripples through into our management systems. Our management systems presume to be able to do something that is an evidence of the 90-30 rule. This is something that cannot be done, and yet we think we have the capability. And as a result of us thinking we have the capability, we design management systems and structures that also have this underlying belief that it's capable to separate out X from YX and to solve for X. And so we have the mistake of not only having this personal belief, but we build it into our systems and practices. So it's important, again, that you spend time understanding why you cannot separate individual performance from the influences of the system, even though your brain might be telling you that you might be able to do that. All right, so we're going to watch a shortened version of the Deming red bead experiment. Please, as we watch this, view the experiment as an allegory, meaning a story, a poem, or a picture that can be interpreted to reveal hidden meaning, or like a parable. Note the lessons that can be taken from this allegory. And what do the beads represent? In fact, as you answer, what do the beads represent? I would like you to begin your own list of red beads that you observe throughout your workday. I will ask you to submit this list next week. So this is something that I would like you to begin and structure today. So keep a document of some form, either a note page or a digital document, and begin tracking red beads. And you'll know more about what a red bead might be, but begin your list of red beads this morning. In fact, I'm guessing, Ashley, you were dealing with a red bead in your work life this morning. In fact, many of us did yesterday. AWS went down. Amazon Web Services, there was network outages all around the planet because of that. And so we had network interruptions on a variety of our internet services. And, that's one of those factors that could be seen as a red bead in our work life. We don't have control over all those kinds of issues. And then what might be the impacts of performance measurement systems on the willing workers? So these are all items that I'd like you to pay attention to as we go through observing the red bead experiment. And then after we watch this video, we will have, let me make sure sound is being shared. We will have a discussion about the results of the red bead experiment that we've watched.
American managers use several accepted techniques to get workers to produce quality. There's only one thing wrong with those techniques.
They don't work.
My blunt colleague is Punk the Penguin.
G'day, mates.
I'm Lloyd Dobbins, and this is another part of the Deming Library, a series of cassettes designed to teach the quality production methods of Dr. W. Edwards Deming. He has endorsed the series and contributes to it.
What's up today?
I think you'll like this. It's the red bead experiment that Dr. Deming teaches in his seminars. From the audience, he gets 6 willing workers, 2 inspectors, a chief inspector, and a recorder to keep production records.
What do they do?
They manufacture beads, white ones, not red ones.
That's all?
Yes, but the people inevitably get caught up in the game.
Okay, let's see it.
In a second. The red bead experiment takes 2 hours. We've shortened it considerably, but the points to be made remain the same. Dr. Deming's role is that of the typical American plant foreman using accepted management techniques.
You understand that continuation of your job depends on your own performance? Yes. So long as you make enough white beads, you'll have jobs. If costs start overrunning revenues, management will close the place down. In other words, your jobs are dependent on your own performance. Have I made it clear, do you think? Think you understand? I'll explain the job. Material comes in the form of a mixture of white and red beads. Your job is to produce white beads. Is that clear? White beads, not red ones. You understand there are 2 vessels here, that they're rectangles. Are you clear? One is bigger than the other. You understand? Your job will be to grasp the larger vessel on the broad side, pour the distance of 8 centimeters into the smaller vessel from the corner to mix the material. You understand? I kept this in the same plane. You understand gravity? Gravity is dependable and cheap. Tilt it. Do not shake. Do not bend it around. Just keep it in the same plane. Gravity will do the work. Then back again from the smaller vessel into the larger one. At a just pour at a distance of 8 centimeters. This is all in your day's work. You'll then produce 50 beads. We have work standards here, 50 per day. You will then take the paddle. The paddle has 50 depressions in it. You'll push it down into the beads, Gentle agitation. Are you watching? You'll then raise the paddle, keep the axis horizontal, tilt it 44 degrees. Any excess beads will roll off. I purposely made some red beads so that you may see what they look like. You understand? You will then carry work to inspector number 1. Inspector number 1 will count number of red beads, record it on her paper. Chief inspector will compare the 2 counts of the inspectors. If they disagree, there may be a mistake. If they agree, there may be a mistake. Chief inspector is responsible for the count. Announce the count,
10.
That's it. And the word dismissed.
Dismissed.
That's it. All right, proceed. 8 centimeters. Just tilt it, keep it in the same plane. Don't need to be all day about it. And back again. Rapid learner. Thus far. Grasp the paddle on the broadside, 2 fingers down into the beads. Gentle agitation, then no more. Raise it, axis horizontal, 44 degrees, excess roll off. Rapid learner. Carry work to inspector number 1. Then to number 2. Chief inspector responsible for the count.
9. Dismissed.
Very good. Performance is admirable. All right, proceed. No. What are the instructions? Keep it in the same plane. Do not shake it. Do not shake it and do not turn it. Keep it in the same plane.
Okay.
You know about gravity?
Do I still have a job?
Gravity is cheap. Very dependable. Gravity do the work. Back again. You want to hold a job or be dismissed?
I want my job.
You want your job?
Yep, I want
Well, then follow instructions. All right, back again. Smaller vessel into the large one. 8 centimeters. Did I shake?
Well, I did.
Did I shake? Did I shake this?
No, you didn't shake that.
I did not shake it.
No, that's true.
Your procedure said do not shake.
Okay, you're right.
Do not shake. Lay it down. I'll take the paddle. Take the paddle. Proceed. Grasp the paddle by 2 fingers. Down into the beads. Down into the beads. Gentle agitation. No more. Raise it. Axis horizontal, 44 degrees. Excess roll off. Carry work to inspector number 1. You may ask questions during your apprenticeship. When you get into production, there'll be no questions, no comment.
11. Dismissed.
Good thing we're on apprenticeship on it. Is this where you belong? Get over here where you belong. All right, Karen. Would you like to try, Karen? You understand the job? Excellent. Excellent technique. Karen paid attention during instruction. She could do a good job anywhere. So do your agitating down in the beads. Put it down into the beads. No. In the beads. Agitation. Then no further agitation. Axis horizontal, 44 degrees. Excess roll off. Carry work to inspector number 1. Announce the count.
15. Dismissed.
How could you do it? Let me see. Don't know how you could do it. Thank you very much. Be thankful that this is apprenticeship. Bob, wish to try? Wait a minute. What are the procedures? That's it on the... No gymnastics. You're all on probation. You understand this? Don't shake it after you bring it up. Inspector number 1 will count.
8, dismissed.
Who else would like to try? You're on apprenticeship and ask questions, make trials. Down into the beads, gentle agitation, then no further shaking, no further agitation. Excellent technique. Question?
Occasionally there is a pink bead in the system, not right, white, or red, and what should we do about that?
Can you tell the difference between red and white?
Yes, sir.
Count it as white.
Okay.
You'll never see it again.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, wait a minute. Broadside, not the corner. Where were you? That's better. 8 centimeters, not 10. Rapid learner.
7, dismissed.
Man, I've decided to put on a numerical goal. Not more than 3 red beads in any workload. 0 is acceptable, 1, 2, or 3, but not more than 3. We have work standards here, 50 per day, no more, no less. Not more than 3 red beads in a workload. Any questions before we get into production?
What if we have more than 3?
What if you have more than 3? Recorder will record it. We'll go onto your record. We have the merit system here. We reward good performance. We penalize poor performance. All right, we're in production. All you have to do is follow procedures rigidly. No departure, no comment, no questions. We'll proceed.
No records were kept during the apprenticeship, but this is production. Now records will be kept. Good performers will be given merit raises. Poor performers will be put on probation. As the audience watched the stage or closed-circuit television, Mike and Leon got off to a bad start. The standard is 3 red beads. They had 8 and 14, and now it's Karen's turn.
Karen, you got a job anywhere. Gentle agitation, and no further shaking. Perfect. Excellent technique. Karen paid attention.
7, dismissed.
Now, that's what I call improvement. Look at that. 8, 14. Doesn't make any sense. Procedure's absolutely rigid. Look at that variation. No, no, no. Please. Please be careful. Please be careful. This beads are irreplaceable. Please be careful. If a bead goes on the floor, halt the line. Everybody down on hands and knees to find it. All this comes from nervousness.
14, dismissed.
The first day's production included 61 red beads when there should have been no more than 18. Any foreman would be upset.
I thought that I explained at the outset. The job is to make white beads, not red ones. There seems to be misunderstanding on what the job is. I thought that it was clear. We're on the merit system here, as I explained. Karen and Melvin, due for a raise. Merit raise. We should all congratulate them on a merit raise. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to put Leon and Paul both on probation. What a pity. Such nice fellows. They all like them. Karen and Melvin got the merit raises. Proceed into the second day. Try for better results. Costs are overrunning revenues thus far. Proceed into the second day.
Eleven, dismissed.
Let me see. What happened? Made 8 the first day, 11 the second. Getting worse. What happened? Shouldn't they halt the line and find out what happened? Obviously, something's happened. Look at that. Go ahead, Leon. Do your day's work. One thing sure, Leon, you couldn't do worse.
10, dismissed.
Improvement. Leon taking the job seriously. He's improving. That's what we need, improvement. Karen, one of our best workers, got a merit raise. Excellent technique. Karen worked inspector number 1.
10, dismissed.
What happened? Can't understand it. One of our best workers got a merit raise. Must have gone to her head.
Bob had 10, Melvin 12, and it was Paul's turn. Paul was on probation.
One thing sure, Paul, you couldn't do worse than you did yesterday.
7, dismissed.
He was on probation. Improved. Took his job seriously. I want to talk to you. Seems to be misunderstanding about what the job is. The job is to make white beads, not red ones. Your yield is low. Variation incomprehensible. Look at that variation. All the way from 7 to 12. Procedures absolutely rigid. There should be no variation, but remember this. Any day may be your last day on this job. Average man, Mike, proceed. Our work inspector number 1.
Six, dismissed.
Mike, improving. All right, Leon. Leon shows a steady record of improvement so far. Only one direction to go.
Eight, dismissed.
Steady improvement. We're going to be proud of him. All right, Karen. Try to beat your own record.
11, dismissed.
Merit raise still bother you. All right, Melvin. Melvin has a miserable record so far.
6, dismissed.
Now, it looks like improvement. 44 today, 60 yesterday, 61 the day before. I'll talk to you. Still seems to be some difficulty about what the job is. The job is to make white beads, not red ones. Costs are overrunning revenues. Management are watching the figures. Our numerical goal is 3 red beads, not more than 3. Nobody came close to it. Third day shows a bit of improvement. Management have directed me to inform you that unless the 4th day shows substantial improvement, they'll close the place down. As I explained at the outset, their jobs are dependent on your own performance. Their performance has been miserable. Proceed into the 4th day, and remember, this may be your last day on this job.
The 4th day started with 7 and 11. Then Karen did well. But listen for the reaction of her co-workers, who have been made to look bad.
5, dismissed.
Karen's on the job. She's learning.
14, dismissed.
Halt the line. What happened? We should halt the line. Steady it. Steady it. What happened? Surely something happened. Look at that. Should we not halt the line? Try to find out what happened. All right, Paul, proceed. Forward to Inspector number 1.
14, dismissed.
Halt the line. Steady the line. What happened? Look at that. As you remember, the management stated that unless this 4th day were substantially better than the other days, they would close the place down, sweep it out. But somebody in the management came through with a fantastic suggestion. A new style of management. Magnificent. Instead of closing the place down, they're going to keep it going with the 3 best workers. Our best workers are Mike, Karen, Bob. Mike, Karen, Bob. Turn out to be our best workers. We're going to keep the place open for the best workers. Fantastic contribution to management. Now, Leon, Melvin, Paul, we thank you for being such willing workers. You did your best. Thank you very much. Pick up your pay as you go by the window. Stay in business for the best workers. No doubt about it. That'll do it. We're going to work 2 shifts. Have to keep up production. 2 shifts. Proceed on his first shift. Keep the place open to the best workers. Fantastic contribution to management. Some companies take the top % of the class. Serves them right. The count.
14, dismissed.
Karen, one of our best workers. Right at the top. Close to the top. Things will be better now. No question about it. We're going to see better performance. Maybe they will keep the place open.
12, dismissed.
You can't understand it. Karen's worst day. You can't understand it. All right, Bob.
Eight, dismissed.
All right. Mike, go on your second shift. It's a hard life, but we got to keep up production.
5, dismissed.
Why weren't you doing it all along? Look, if Mike can make 5, anybody can make 5. That should be the limit. It's perfectly obvious. No question about it. Proceed, Karen. You know what your job is now.
$11, dismissed.
What happened? All right, Bob. 5th day, going to show substantial improvement, real improvement. We have only the best workers on the job.
8, dismissed.
42, 16 makes 58. What happened? 58. Just about the worst day of all, almost equal to the worst. What happened? I was looking for improvement. Management have decided to close the place down. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very much, Karen. Pick up your pay. Willing workers, this goes on your record. You were a willing worker on the red bead.
Here is the first lesson from the red bead experiment,
We've said this before.
and may very well again. It's important. Being a willing worker, doing your best, trying your hardest, simply are not enough. None of that by itself produces quality.
What's another lesson?
That's what we'll show on our next cassette, lessons of the red beads and how that information can be used.
So we're finished?
For now,
Okay, I'm Punk. See you next time.
and I'm Lloyd Dobbins for the Deming Library.
I'm sorry. So there's a lot we can learn from this red bead experiment, and many lessons that can be gained by observing the experiment, as well as how Dr. Deming interacted with the workers. What happened during apprenticeship?
The workers did not perform to the standard.
Yeah, in fact, they didn't even have a standard yet. They were just learning the procedures. And Dr. Deming gave them instruction. They had an opportunity to ask questions. And then what happened once production started? What were they told to do? Tyler, what were they told to do when production started?
No questions. Follow the procedure exactly.
Exactly. They were told to follow the procedure exactly. And then as work proceeded, what happened during as people produced results? There were several comments Dr. Deming made that were fairly telling. So what were some of those comments? Rocky.
They were supposed to make red beads, white beads, not red beads, and they weren't following the procedure because they weren't getting what they were looking for.
Yeah, they were following the procedure, but they weren't producing the results. And so you've had willing workers doing exactly what they're told to do, and yet they're not producing the results of the numerical goal of 3 red beads or less. He also said several times, stop the line. What happened? As if one result to the next meant that something different had happened. And whether you know it or not, Deming was kind of taking a jab at a practice of stopping the line and halting, looking for problems every time a problem shows up, as if it meant something. And then what did he do after the week's worth of production? Ashley, what did Dr. Deming do?
He selected his top performers and got rid of the ones who were underperforming, per se.
Yeah, and what did he call that approach? He described it as, Tyler, go ahead. What did he call that approach?
A new management technique, as if like one of the managers had suggested it in like a strategic planning meeting or something.
Yeah, a wonderful contribution to management. You know, we'll keep the place open with the best workers, as if we could identify who the best workers were. So here's the data that came out of that experiment. And the day that there was not the best day that got produced by the best workers, although we presume that all the time. If we have the best people, we'll get the best results. And what did Deming say about organizations that pick the best workers? What was his comment? Chris, what did he say?
Serves them right.
Serves them right. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah. So then here's results that we see from day to day. There's just a simple bar chart of a number of red beads produced by each willing worker. And if we wanted to, we could do a red, green, or yellow kind of chart. And we typically do this with people, how well they're performing in comparison to the other workers, let alone the numerical goal the organization has. Yet we look at this over time and we see that in the run chart, there's variation, obviously. But when we put this on a control chart, what do we see? What do you notice here, Ashley?
It's all within the normal limits. Like there's no, it's common cause.
Common cause variation. So the definition of common cause variation says, what kind of system do we have? Stable or unstable?
Stable.
Stable. So we have a stable system producing count-onable results. And yet, who are we holding responsible for the results?
Individuals.
Yeah, individuals, the willing workers. And he ended up firing 3 of the willing workers. Here's the results that were produced. So from this stable system, we have these results, and yet individually, we have people showing up next to the results and they get held accountable for those results. The red beads happen to show up in that person's production for that day. And then they're held accountable for the red beads that they had nothing to do about producing. So what did we learn here? So here's a question. What was the source of low performance by the workers? Rocky, what was the source of low performance by the workers?
So it's the predominance of the red beads among the white.
Yeah. So the low yield was the red beads in the incoming material. So here's a place to begin thinking about what red beads are. So red beads are sources of problems within your system. They don't necessarily have to be physical red beads, yet the system is delivering red beads to each of our workers. Ashley, you ran into some kind of problem, technical problem, I'm guessing today, or a traffic problem or something. You know, like there's some red bead that you bumped into this morning that had it be that you weren't on when we started. So there's red beads that show up in all sorts of different situations. And yet the willing workers are being held accountable for that. And now what influence do the willing workers have on the ability to improve quality? Eric.
What influence are the willing workers able to exert? None.
Yeah. In fact, they were told, don't talk, don't do anything other than follow our rigid instructions. So they're basically helpless to improve quality. And they'll continue to make red beads as long as there's red beads in the raw material. So this is the same thing that we can look at in our organizations. As long as our structures and our processes stay the same, people are going to produce the same results. And there's not much we can do about by ranking or rating people. Now, Deming put people on probation, and he also gave merit raises. What was the impact of that, Tyler?
Nothing. It didn't change the system at all. And in fact, he would then like judge their performance after that raise and make inferences about how they changed their actions based on the raise or being on probation, which again, like the system didn't change at all.
Exactly. So he said that, you know, either the raise went to their head or they paid attention to being on probation. And yet really they didn't change anything in what they were doing, but the results look different. So we do this correlation cause and effect thing. And that's an actual study. Daniel Kahneman talked about that correlation cause and effect confusion that we make with performance evaluations. People think that giving raises or putting people on probation have an impact, and yet that's not what's happening. You know, we're something else is going on in a stable system, and there's evidence, you know, experimental evidence that shows that that's not the case. So what's the source of variation between lots and workers? It's pretty simple, right? The variation arose from the system itself, not from the workers. They all followed the same procedure. They all did the same work. And then finally, what can be said about predicting future performance based upon past performance? So we look at the three best workers. Did they produce the best results in the future? That was the prediction. We kept the place open with the best workers. And yet, nope. So performance of anybody on any one day is useless as a basis of production, a prediction of his performance on any other day. So here's some basic lessons. Observe differences between individuals are the result of system variation. Improvements in outcomes only follow improvements in the system. Ranking or rating do not improve performance. And ranking or rating do not predict future performance. The product of individual outcomes and interactions in the system reflects the capabilities of management. So this is one of the places where we fall down in our feedback and appraisal processes, is that individual performance is a reflection of the manager and management. And so that performance should be an evaluation of how well we're managing, not how well the individual is performing. And yet it's always pointed at the wrong direction when we look at how we evaluate performance. It's always directed at the willing worker and not management, who actually created the system the willing worker works within. Now, on our screen today, we have representations of 3 vastly different management systems. And we act as if we put a person into that system, they're responsible for all the results they produce. And yet, if you go to work in one of the other management systems that we have here, you're going to produce different results because of this new system that you're a part of. So we want to pay attention to what's the influence and power of the system that we're working within. You have this handout, the red beads. Please review the lessons of the red beads and apply and add to your notes for the lessons that you want to teach and apply. Deming said this: a psychologist that possesses even a crude understanding of variation, as will be learned in the experiment with the red beads, could no longer participate in refinement of a plan for ranking people. And David Langford at a Deming Institute conference said, there's no scarcity of top people. Our systems produce the scarcity. It's artificial scarcity. So in today's Teach Learn notes, discuss and list red beads, the sources of trouble that you both experience in your work. And then as you do your capstone invitations, be sure that you're including on your list the full name of the people that you're inviting and their current email. This is fun. This is also from Daniel Kahneman. And he's talking about the difference between economic man and psychological man. And to a psychologist, he says, it is self-evident that people are neither fully rational nor completely selfish, and that their tastes are anything but stable. And then this slide you will want to study. It's about curiosity and the power of curiosity in our ability to produce improvement. Curiosity is about seeking information and experiences for their own sake through self-directed behavior. So this is actually a topic that's been gaining traction lately in business circles, the power and the importance of curiosity. So there's a lot to absorb in what we went through today. You'll want to spend some time sharing and talking about this. Ashley, you want to review the video when I get going again, when I get it up, so you can see what you missed. And are there any thoughts or questions that people have? This is a big topic, what we cover on the red beads. There's a lot here. Eric, you're nodding your head.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, obviously our whole production system is set up in a red bead fashion. So anyways, I'm getting good value from this, I guess. And then also, I have a quick question after this to ask you about my 3 questions?
Sure. Yep. I'll stick around. Other thoughts? Yeah, it's important that we recognize red beads in our world, and then how we set up our systems of management that reflect or show similarity to how Dr. Deming was managing in the red bead experiment. All right, thank you, everyone. We will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow, Chris Chapman will be our guest instructor. I'll send out some in our notes from today and for tomorrow. I'll send out some links of work that or comments that or things that Chris has written and he recommends. So please take a look through that and see if you can have an opportunity to read 1 or 2 of the blogs that Chris has written on motivation. We'll be talking about motivation tomorrow, and we'll be running a short exercise that I think will be very interesting for us to work with. All right, thanks everyone. And Eric, I'll stick around. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.